This meeting is being recorded.
Taylor, were you saying something? Okay. First of all, I wanted to clarify something. It was my fault. I was confused the other day when we were talking about today's essay that's due. You can submit it by tonight, by 11:59 tonight. It's actually not a rough draft. I was thinking of a different assignment. I'm really embarrassed. My kid had surgery last week, and I guess my head was in like not present. And I said it was a rough draft, but I'm thinking about the essay that you're going to be starting today that will be a rough draft, and then you'll have a final draft of that due later. We'll go over that in a little bit. So just get that in by tonight. If you haven't submitted it yet, get it in by tonight. I will keep in mind that you all thought of it as a rough draft when I'm grading it. So I'll kind of go easy on everybody, okay? Because I get that I had told you the wrong thing, and I apologize for that. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. It might take a second to get everything up.
So if we already have submitted it and it is like a draft version, it's okay.
I'm sorry, what was that question?
If you already submitted the rough draft version, is there any way we can resubmit it or no?
If you want to email me a new version, you're free to do that. If you're not either, if you want to do that, you know, before tonight, or if you want to send me an email and give me more information and then maybe, you know, send it on again. I mean, you know, that's fine. You'd have to email it, but I would accept it. Also, you can just wait and see what your grade is. And if you're not happy with your grade, I'd be happy to take another look and bump up your grade if you wanted to do it that way. So okay. This was my miscommunication. And like I said, I'm going to go easy on you.
Turn it down.
Everybody's going to grade it. So
this is school. I'm in school right now. This is my classroom. What? I can't hear yours at all, right? Yours is fine. There's headphones out there on the bar.
Could people put themselves on mute unless they're going to contribute to the class conversation? So like to do that, you should be able to go into the left side, lower left side of your screen, and you can turn off your microphone. You'll see a little microphone, a little place for video. And if you click on either one of those, either your video will go away if you have your video on, or you will mute yourself on your microphone. So if you are, especially if you're in your house with a lot of people, or there's a lot of background noise in your house, I'd really appreciate that, just to make it a little easier for everybody to hear, because it comes across as kind of staticky and whatnot over on our end. Okay, so that's all cleared up about the rough draft. So that it is not in fact a rough draft. Okay, so if you could just get that in by tonight, that would be tremendous. So what we're gonna do today, if you could get out a piece of paper and a pen. Now we will be sharing these out loud, so be sure to do this. I'm trusting that you're all gonna do this. So either take out a piece of paper and a pen or open a Word document, because we're gonna do some free writing. Just like we did the other day, but this is gonna have a little bit of a spin to it. Is everybody prepared? It's like I'm waiting on a couple people here. Okay, so the last time I gave you a couple of prompts and I let you write for a few minutes for each prompt. This time I'm giving you exactly 1 minute for each prompt, okay? So what you're gonna do is I'm going to just set a timer here. So I'm giving you exactly 1 minute. And what will happen is I'll give you a prompt. And as soon as I give you the next prompt, you're gonna stop writing what you're writing and move on to the next thing. This is gonna cause you to think on your feet, think fast. Again, as usual, it doesn't matter if you have perfect spelling, grammar, punctuation. You can write a list, you can write it however you want, just so long as you have something down to jog your memory. And these are gonna be things that are memories, things that you're thinking about from your past, from when you were a younger person, okay? Okay, so is everybody, do you understand the concept of what we're doing? So I may say, I'm not going to say this one, but I might say, what was your favorite snack when you know, after school snack when you were 7, right? It might be something like that. And then you may have, then you might write something about your favorite snack, you know, coming home from school and having a bowl of cereal or popcorn or, you know, Fritos or something like that, and talk about that. And then as soon as I give you the next prompt, you're going to stop writing about your Fritos and you're going to move on to something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Can people just like give me a thumbs up in their thing, or yeah, thanks. Can people give me a thumbs up? There's a little place to put an icon at the bottom where you can do a little thumbs up so that I know people have heard me. Thank you, David. Riley, did you hear that and understand it? Riley, did you understand? Could you give me a thumbs up if you understand the instructions, Riley? You don't understand the instructions? Okay, so do you remember doing free writing in class the other day? Yeah, you do? Okay. So remember I gave you about 5 minutes or so for each prompt. There were 2 prompts and I gave you something to write about, and then you wrote for like 5 minutes or so. Okay, today you're only gonna have 1 minute to write. Okay, you'll have just 1 minute for each prompt, and there'll be 6 or 7 prompts, okay? So you'll have 1 minute for each prompt. And what I'll do is after the minute passes, I will simply move on to the next prompt. Does that make sense? And then you'll stop writing. Okay, all right, great. Excuse me for my, oh, great, Taylor, thank you.
You're welcome.
If you want to stick around after, I don't think that you missed anything important, but you'll have to, you know, I mean,
Okay.
everything in this class is technically important. But,
Yeah.
but if you want to stick around, if there was some question that you had about anything, the biggest thing that I said was that the essay that's due tonight is not a rough draft. Did you
Okay.
get that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, then that's really the biggest thing. We were just mostly getting settled. Okay, so has everybody got your pen or a Word document open for this free writing?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to write about is the first time you remember crying. The first time you remember crying, Livia. The first time you remember telling a lie. Your first friend. The first time you remember getting in trouble, either with your parents or at school or something like that.
Bless you. Thank you.
Your first kiss or your first crush. The first time you remember getting angry. An early game that you remember playing. It can be a board game. It could be a game you played with your friends outside in the street. Maybe you played hockey or something. Anything that was a game that you played when you were younger. The first one you remember. Okay, is that about 6 or 7 prompts?
Yeah, I believe it's
7.
7.
Perfect, great, thank you. What I'd like you to do now is choose one of those prompts and look at what you wrote. And then spend, I'm gonna give you about 5 minutes to sort of flesh it out. You know, you only had 1 minute to write down a few notes. So what I'd like you to do now is spend some time putting in more detail. More things that you remember, more things that you consider important about this particular memory. So I'm gonna start the 5 minutes now, and you're just gonna free write about that topic of your choice for 5 minutes from your list. Okay.
So we only pick one of the 7.
That's right. You pick one of
Okay.
the 7 and just add more details. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm starting the 5 minutes now. We have about 3 minutes left. Okay, so go ahead and wrap up whatever you're working on. Last, finish up the sentence or thought or idea. And I'd love to hear a little bit about how you felt about doing this particular free write. Did you enjoy this one? If you did, why? If you didn't, why not?
You want us to write it or tell you?
Oh, tell me. Share with me what your experience was doing this free write.
I enjoyed it, but it was really hard to remember like the very first time I cried or the first time I was angry. So it was fun, and I liked it. It was just hard to remember those prompts.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. And it's not necessarily strict, right? Like, I mean, if you're, I remember one year I had a student who really took it literally and thought that it was like, I don't remember the first time I cried. I was a baby, like I was an infant. I was probably less than a day old, and I didn't mean it that way, right? Like, so there's certainly some flexibility. If you didn't feel like you had a lot of information or couldn't remember a lot about that first experience, maybe there was another one that came a year or two later that you did remember more of. So, but it's a free write, so it really doesn't matter. Whatever you thought to write about was fine, right? Other people's experiences?
I thought it was fun. I remembered something back like when I was young, like the first lie I told.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
It was over Girl Scout cookies to my mom. I lied about what the money was going for, and it was really so I could buy Girl Scout cookies off a girl on my school bus.
Oh man, what kind of cookies?
They were the Thin Mints.
Oh, ew.
Worth it.
I have 4 sisters, so like I didn't want to share them, so I told my mom it was like for school lunch money
Oh
that
my
I
God.
owed. And then my mom found like the cookies that were like half eaten, and I still had some. I was storing in my book bag, and she took them all from me, and told me that she would have given me the money, and I wouldn't have got my cookies taken if I would have told her the truth. But since I lied, she took them all from me, and she ate them.
Oh, man, that's harsh.
Yeah, like I was not happy about it.
That's great. That's hilarious. Does anybody else want to share one of their memories? Also, everybody knows too that if you have Girl Scout Thin Mint cookies, they have to be in the freezer. You have to eat them cold.
Yeah, I know. My book bag was the closest thing to a freezer I had at the time.
Fair enough. Who else would like to share one of their memories? You don't have to say yes, but Xavier, would you like to?
Yeah, I can.
Great.
The first time I remember crying is when I was jumping my head on a corner piece, and I had to go to the hospital and get stitches.
Oh my gosh, how old were you?
Like 3.
Oh, ow. I think I would remember that too, even being so young, because that must have been pretty traumatic. Ouch. How many stitches did you get? Do you remember?
That's about the only thing I can remember. I think I had like 11 or 10 or 11.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. One time my nephew was visiting me back when I lived in the country, and he had been swimming down at the pond, and he came up, and he was older than 3, but he was like maybe 5 or 6. And he was running with a towel wrapped around him, and he fell and hit his chin on one of the stone steps leading up to the house. And the poor kid like went totally pale. He had to have stitches all down here. I mean, the poor kid went totally pale and stopped crying, like got really silent, and everybody got really freaked out. And we were living pretty far away from the emergency room, but that's where he went. You know how it is when you live in the country, right? Pretty far away.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Riley, would you like to share?
Sure, why not? So in preschool, I had a friend named Alexis Enoch. We call her Monkey now. Well, I did in high school. And I was just, playing with the kitchen set in the corner. And she was like, hey, can I play with you? And I was like, sure, why not? And we just played together every day after that.
Oh, and that was back in kindergarten or preschool?
Preschool.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I had a close friend that I made in kindergarten, and we stayed friends through 8th grade. And then when we went to high school, it wasn't like, you know how it is, like we weren't enemies or anything. We just didn't really hang out anymore, but we still considered each other friends. But yeah, we that kindergarten friendship went on forever. And it was one of those things where I think I went up to her and said, do you want to be my friend? My social skills have really not improved that much since then. but that's really great. Thanks so much, Riley. I appreciate that.
Also,
yeah.
Sorry, can I talk to you after class about my paper? I accidentally sent you the wrong one, and now it won't let me send you the right one.
Oh, just email it to me.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah, I saw your email, but I didn't have a chance. I saw it and read it, but I didn't have a chance to, because of the class, I didn't have a chance to respond. But you can just email it to me. Anytime that happens, if you're trying to submit something to Canvas, just email me if you need to submit something different. It's totally fine. The class, because the class isn't technically like officially an online class, it's totally okay if you're having problems getting something submitted to give it to me in email or to give me a hard copy, although I prefer not to have a hard copy. But if you absolutely had to, you could print it out and give it to me in class.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Anybody else want to share their experience? What about you, Robert? Robert?
No, thank you.
Okay. Taylor, would you like to share?
Sure. The first time I ever really got angry was when my mom told me that she was pregnant with my little sister. I was in kindergarten, and that's the only time I really ever remember. Like the first time I ever got angry. Like I was very upset about it.
Oh.
But I mean, I love my sister to death, but yeah, that.
Sure. No, I totally get that. Actually, I mean, I'm the youngest of 3, and apparently the oldest of the 3 adored me, and the middle was not crazy about it at all for a while.
Right.
So I get it to a certain extent, right? Like, even though I didn't have that same experience as you did, but it's understandable. You were how old? You were 5?
Yeah, I was like 5 years old.
That's a long time to be the only child.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that
was kind of an accident with them, but.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Taylor.
Oh, you're welcome.
David, would you like to share? Excuse me, I'm going to mute myself here. David, did you say you wanted to share or you don't want to share?
Oh, yeah, I'll share.
Okay, great.
The first time I got mad, when I was a kid, I really liked animals and I read about them all the time. And it was really young. It was like 1st or 2nd grade. I got in a fight with a kid because he said a cow had 2 stomachs, and I got mad because a cow has 4. It was the weirdest argument I've ever had in my life.
That's fantastic. I love that.
Me too.
That's hilarious. Okay, I'm gonna ask Livia. Livia, would you like to share?
When I think I was like 10, we first moved to Ohio. And my best friend, her name was Monica. She lived around the corner. That was my first, I would say, my first best friend. We were best friends for a long time until I moved again. We used to play like, this refers to the game prompts. We used to play Power Rangers and like house and stuff with babies and.
Oh, very cool.
You hurt your toe? Hold on, I'm gonna mute this again. There's a lot going on in here.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine. I'm curious if any of you felt like this really triggered memories that you hadn't thought of in a really long time. I know I did the same one for the first time when I was around your age. I was a freshman in college, and my teacher did this. I was in a creative writing class, and my teacher had us do this. And I remember thinking of things that I hadn't thought of in years. Like it just sort of helped me remember certain things. Did some of you have that experience?
Yeah.
Well, here, this free writing definitely had a big purpose today, because I'm hoping that maybe you'll use one of those prompts, maybe the one that you worked on a little extra, or maybe another one from the list, or maybe something completely different. It's totally up to you to write your micro memoir. Now, I'm going to have us look at the directions for the rough draft. I'm going to put it up here, but if you have your computer open to the online classroom, you can open it yourself and take a look at it as well. What I'd like you to do is I'm going to have you read Making Much of the Moment, A Guide to the Micro Memoir, 10 Tips for Tiny Truths, and also some examples of micro memoirs. Then you're going to write one. You're going to write something about your life. Now, a memoir is when you write, it's like an autobiography. You are writing something about you. Okay, so you are the main subject. Something that happened to you is the main subject of this essay. And you'll use the sample micro memoirs as a model for your own work. And your memoir must be no longer than 750 words. I know sometimes people think the shorter the better, right? But you'll be surprised at how much of a challenge that can be, especially if you feel like you want to say all sorts of things about what happened. But this causes you to make important choices about what you want to include and what you want to leave out. And so having it be only 750 words makes it, that gives you that challenge, right? Let's see. Do you know how, does everybody know how to use the word count tool in Word?
Yeah.
You do? If you don't, okay, let me know, email me and I can try to help you, or we can just write what you can and I can show you in class on Thursday. Hopefully we'll be meeting face to face. If not, I will open the document so that you can see how to do it. And as always, use Times New Roman 12 font and double space your essay. And I'd like you to submit it before next class, because this will be a rough draft. This will be something that you will get a chance to revise and improve upon. But I would like you to submit it before class time. Okay, so that we can do some in-class peer critiquing. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Does everybody understand this assignment?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a chance if you have a question about it to let me know right now. But I would like for you to read all of this information here. We can take a quick look, first of all, at 6 micro memoirs. so that you have an idea. Let's see, okay, let's look at this one, the coming of age. So I'll go ahead and read it out loud. I know y'all are capable of reading it, but it might be helpful. So you all read along and then we'll talk a little bit about it. It's called The Coming of Age. We were vacationing on a small lake in Canada. I'd walked the pine needle path to the store, the kind of place lichened with shingles, bell on the screen door, bowl of water for the store dog. The kind of place that sold a bit of everything, beef jerky and buttons and shoe polish and flypaper. I cased the tiers of candy. I was 6, would have been happy eating nothing but pixie sticks and pop rocks and bottle caps. Lick-a-made, fun dip and candy cigarettes that gave a puff of chalky sugar. Waiting in line, I felt a hand settle onto my head. The woman behind me conversing with the clerk. She began stroking my hair. I waited, obedient, patient to pay, and the woman continued chatting and stroking rhythmically, unhurriedly. My hair an instrument she strummed to lyrics about summer traffic. Worse than last year, eh? And did you hear Mary's eldest is moving home? Then it was my turn, and as I addressed the clerk, the woman behind snatched her fingers back as if they'd been scorched. Oh, she cried, and I turned. I'm sorry, I'm terribly sorry. I thought for a minute you were my daughter. I gazed at her, surprised only at her embarrassment. Of course she'd want to pet me. Diet of nothing but sweetness, expectation of nothing but affection. You can imagine what this world would make of me. So what are some observations that you can make about this micro memoir? What was that? What was that? Anyone want to chime in about
that the lady was only stroking her hair because she thought she was her daughter, and that's why she took so long to cash out basically for the first one, and she kept doing it only because she didn't realize who she was.
Okay. What other observations can you make?
The little girl was happy in Canada, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. She's happy there. Yep. She's getting all sorts of candy, right? It's always fun. If it's not candy, it's Girl Scout cookies. And I mean, is there, in terms of details, do we have a ton of information about what happened before this moment?
No.
During the
Right, we don't have a lot of information. It's really just one snapshot, right? I mean, even looking at it on the screen here, it's a small story. It's a tiny snippet of something. I like this exercise for you because a lot of times when I ask people to write an autobiography, they start from when they were born, right? And it's a lot. But this forces you to think of one incident, and maybe it's one of the ones that you wrote about today, and trying to give details so that it comes off as a little story, right? It tells your reader a little bit about who you are, a little bit about something that happened to you. What do you make of that very last sentence? You can imagine what this world would make of me. What do you think of?
We said.
I'm sorry?
I didn't hear what you said. Can you say it again?
That final sentence of the essay, you can imagine what this world would make of me. What does that seem to mean in the context of this little story?
that they kind of just not really blew her off, but she was a little girl just there to buy candy, and a mother went ahead and acted like or thought that she was her daughter, so she continued doing whatever she was doing and kind of dismissed her.
Okay. But the sentence right before that where she says expectation of nothing but affection, what does that mean? At her age, what was it that she thought the world was like?
Innocence and love and care and lollipops and gumdrops.
Exactly. That's a great way of putting it. That's exactly the way she saw the whole world. But that last sentence says, you can imagine what this world would make of me.
Oh, it's a rude awakening, right?
Yeah, later on, maybe, realizing that, she had this innocence and maybe the world wasn't that great of a place. It was really still a good place in that moment. She expected this woman to give her affection, right? Like it didn't seem weird to her because she was, a kid who had affection for the adults in her life. And so it didn't really seem that strange to her. And then later on in life, perhaps things weren't always that kind, life wasn't as kind, or the world wasn't as kind to her later on. Okay. So I would like you to read all of these micro memoirs on your own so that you have a better sense of what it is I'm looking for. These are good examples, and read the stuff that's the tips for tiny truths. All those little readings in there will help you as you write your own micro memoir. And I will probably give you a little time in class to work on it if you need to, just because today is so weird. I was planning to have you just submit it before class, but I may give you like a half an hour. So please don't start it when you get to class. Seriously, don't start it when you get to class on Thursday. Have it pretty much ready to go. But if you want to tweak it a little bit, or if you want me to show you how to count your words so you know if you have gone over 750 words, we can do that at the beginning of class, because today's was kind of weird. And I really do appreciate all of you, by the way, for showing up. I know it's not always convenient for everybody, so I really appreciate you being here today. Are there questions about your homework or anything?
So this is just a rough draft, right?
This is just a rough draft, yes.
Okay.
Just a rough draft, yes. Any other questions?
I got a question.
Okay.
Oh, never mind.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm 100.
Okay. If you want to ask it, you can email me if you prefer. That's always an option.
No, I'm all right. Thank you though.
Okay. I'm going to stop the share here. So again, I hope everybody is staying safe and warm where you are right now. I know are the roads pretty bad out where you are?
Yeah.
Terrible.
The people who are going past my house here in Athens are going pretty fast. So I guess it's okay, but I'm hearing that it's really bad, out on the highway still and everything. So I think that our road crews are short-staffed. Usually it doesn't take this long in Athens for things to get cleaned up. Again, though, what was that, Robert? Robert, were you trying to say something?
No, my bad.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. I'm going to let you go now. Start working on your micro memoir, and I will see you on Thursday, hopefully face to face.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.